I got you, people. Now the time has come. If a World War III ever breaks out, the so-called Americans, right, that call themselves Americans, see where they stand. Are they gonna volunteer to go overseas to the Mediterranean Sea, the Middle East, for a government that doesn't care about their needs here in the Western Hemisphere of America, right? I want to see all these proud Americans get their life to a government that's sending all your resources, your money, to fight wars that got nothing to do with us, right? We're not being threatened by anybody. We're not being threatened by Russia, by any Middle Eastern countries over there, because we went there so many times and we turned that those countries or nations, whatever you want to call the Middle East, upside down. And now we back at it again, talking about that we're going to retaliate if Iran doesn't agree to the terms of our government, right? Always they're coming up of something, plotting something that they know, and he said he don't want to hear it. You know, that's Donald Trump. He said, I don't want to hear it. He's planning something. And Donald Trump gave him an ultimatum that he's got to negotiate with him or he's going to turn the world upside down. And that's bad, people. We thought that he was going to de-escalate or finish these wars within 24 hours. And that's not happening. Right? Instead, he did one thing that he promised, right? To deport all these immigrants out here. The thing is that there's these immigrants that are creating chaos, right? And they were bad anyway. They were criminals and didn't sneak over here and think they was going to get away because everybody knows that America gives everybody handouts. That's the reasons everybody's here. And the people that turned America into chaos was the Democratic Party. They staged all this. They had this in the plan from the beginning at the end that Biden was going to finish his 4 years to have this already set, having all these immigrants vote for him as a Democrat. But it didn't work for him. He went sideways and Kamala Harris didn't get to win and she lost her vote and people were angry and they just can't let it go. Now that things are going bad, they want to blame it on everybody that voted for Trump, right? Even if Trump fails, it was already planned to fail, right? They want the Republicans to fail regardless because there's not a fight against the people. It's a fight between the government, the parties, between Republicans and Democrats. Everybody wants to rule the world. And listen, what the Democrats only wanted to do, they want to keep everybody dependent on the government, right? And what kind of dependent? That's in welfare and jobs that you can't make a living off, or you don't need to continue higher education or learn a skill because they want everybody to be receiving handouts. That's what the Democratic side of the citizens wanted the Democrats to win because they didn't want to go to work. Half of the country here doesn't want to work, and they said it's not worth working no more. They'd rather receive handouts. And that was the strategy of the Democrats, right? They want to keep everybody dependent on the government. And it only was 10% that wanted to continue working and earn money and be independent. So the country was already, it was plotted to fail. Whoever was going to take the turn the 4 years ahead was going to have a crisis trying to fix this up. And that's why Mr. Trump is trying to do, and looks like he also went sideways. Instead of going against the war, he's participating in the war, right? So let's see if he starts a drive. Let me see how many Americans, so-called Americans, are gonna volunteer to die overseas for something that has nothing to do with us, right? Nobody has embalmers, and nearly more 8 to 10 years, there hasn't been a terrorist attack, any bombings, or anything, right? All that slowed down and shut down. But now they want to ignite more wars out there, right? The reason why the Ukraine war started is because the United Nations want to induct Ukraine in there, and knowing that it was spoken way before that Russia didn't want the United Nations near his territory, surrounding his area, and that's how the war broke out, and that's how this thing ignited. And now the Israelis claiming that the Palestinians had threatened them, you know, with killings and things like that, and then they blamed it on Hamas. From Hamas, it went to the Hezbollah. From Hezbollah, it went to the Houthis. From the Houthis, went to Lebanon. From Lebanon, it went to Iran. You see, these things are never going to stop. And the problem is that Israel is the only problem over there in the Middle East. I always said from the beginning, the Arab nations and the Shiites and all those Arab-speaking nations and Muslims need to stick together and cancel Israel. They need to get rid of that. Even Egypt is in the middle of the conflict. If something should happen and Egypt gets hit, well, who Egypt is going to retaliate? He's going to have to choose a side. But the thing is, you know, they need to remove that Israeli state out of the Middle East so that that region could be at peace. To me, the plan was that Israel wants to be the commander-in-chief of the whole Middle East, right? Because who's supporting him? The United States, right? The Western countries, and maybe also the European countries. They're just not saying anything, but regardless, you know, and if another war escalates between, if Russia and China already made a pact with Iran and North Korea, what happens if they all unite? And they should also unite, and they should make a standoff that we're not going to tolerate you escalating these wars, right? So everybody's got to be in a pact more, and they're going to come to a conclusion that it's not worth the fights anymore. And somebody has to be pressure, you know, to be held responsible to stop this. Because the escalation started and continue to trigger these wars because Ukraine wanted to join the United European nations, right? The allies and things like that. That's what the war started. So it's bad for the people that are trying to live in peace. You know, there's a lot of Americans here that doesn't support that. We might have voted for Democrats and Republicans, but the country is sick and tired of wars. America hasn't been in peace for a long time, you know. And what's left? You know, everybody's either disabled, getting old, they have some kind of medical chronic disease in them that they can't pay because instead of paying for all these services, they have money. They said they don't have money for healthcare, but they got billions of dollars to cure a few persons with a bomb that costs $500,000, right, or $100 million just for one bomb. To drop a bomb is probably $50 million, but you could use that here, you know, and pay everybody's medical bills and things like that, and build schools, vocational schools that the children's need here, and the children that are becoming adults and, you know, are seeking jobs and things like that, technical jobs now. But that's not going to happen because they're more interested in conquering another country of people and oppress them and make deals with them what they know they cannot pay. They, you know, even if you make a contract with them, the contract might not even go through, and somebody always gonna break that treaty. And that's what's happening now. People don't want to be ruled by anybody no more. You know, the days of ruling and conquering and colonizing countries is over with. I understand what's going on with America that still wants to conquer the world. You know, in these European nations, you had your chance, got rich off of the people. You got rich off the indigenous people, the native people. You got the Hindus, the Indians, the monks. You know, you got rich off of everybody. It's the people's turn to get all that back, all that richness that you took away from them, to get it back. People should not submit themselves to a government no more that doesn't take care of the people that are here living in these countries anymore, you know? And I don't understand that. I don't understand why people don't understand that. The time of colonizing countries is over. You have discovered everything that you needed to, and you got rich off of it. What is it more that you want? They want to control the people, absolute, you know? Like, you cannot do nothing without the government telling you what to do. That's what they want to do now. You know, they conquer everything, but now they want to conquer your mind. And that's going to work, people. Look, if a draft comes in, it's going to be more problem because nobody's going to imagine a draft officer come to your house. You're not going to get that draft officer might get shot. It's going to happen sooner or later. Nobody wants to die for a country that's not giving them prosperity for them or their grandchildren. It's not going to work anymore. The country has had enough. Look, you know, half of the country, 90% of the country don't want to speak about it, but that's how they feel. They don't want these fights anymore. They don't want to go to war. They're about to be lazy, transgender, homosexual, live in peace and in harmony, all disorganized, than to lose their life for something that's not going to give them peace and happiness. To them, they want to enjoy their life like that. They'd rather kill somebody. They'd rather be gangsters than to die for no purpose in a war. People, think about it. Your government, I always say, it's not for you. They don't care about your opinions or your views, your protests. You got to think about it. The people now have to stick together. This country doesn't care about its people. And with that, people, I let you go. When you think about that, this government is not for the people. It's for its self-interest. And with that, I let you go.